Welcome and thank you for coming along to this seminar on the IntraLAN Datto backup solutions. My name is Philip Mitchell. I'm the MD of IntraLAN. We're co-hosting along with Datto, whom you may have already heard of. IntraLAN itself has been an IT and telephony support company for the last 22-something years, long enough, and have been partners with Datto at Autotask for a number of years now. So I think the main thing I want to do here is to thank Datto to do this presentation, but to also get across that whilst this is a presentation about ransomware, it's also a presentation about what things can go wrong. We're going to make it exciting with a bit of liquid nitrogen, but what actually happens in a real disaster is this here is not a bit of Shutterstock standard footage. Those of you who live in the Epsom area will remember a fire about 3 months ago. That is a view picture taken out from outside my office. So it really does happen. So demonstration about ransomware, it could be anything. It could be a fire, it could be the loss of your server. Ransomware is just very topical, it's very in your face, a lot of it going on right now. So it's a good foil, a good example to give. So without further ado, I want to hand over to Adam, who will give you a demonstration of what can happen to your data, losing it, and how quickly you can get it back again. That's what business continuity is really all about. So I'll hand you over.
Thank you, Philip, much appreciated. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. As I said, Adam, I'm a sales engineer here at Datto, and I've been kind of demonstrating our products and what our solution can do at lots of events like these. And as you can see today, we've got a ransomware and live liquid nitrogen demo to take you through. But what I'm going to do first is just take you through a bit of history of ransomware. What is it? What's actually, how it infects systems, what it can do to your systems. And then at the end, we can talk about how we can recover from a potential ransomware threat. And as you can see, this is what I'm going to be covering and how it actually affects your systems. Now, is everyone pretty clear with what ransomware is, what it does, the actual definition of ransomware, just as a show of hands? Okay, so those of you that don't know what ransomware is, it's obviously a malicious program that is designed to be put onto your systems covertly and block access to either the entire system itself or certain files and folders on that system, and then hold it to ransom and not give that data back. It's fully encrypted until you pay that said ransom. And just to give you an idea of the history of how this has kind of come about, it started in 1989 and it was first designed as an AIDS Trojan, and that's the earliest known form of ransomware. And to be honest, the history of it has kind of taken the similar timeline to the outbreak of technology, how that's kind of increased over the last 20 or 30 years or so. Ransomware has had the same sort of slow impact, and then towards the last 5 years or so, it's had an incredible kind of epidemic and catastrophic rise in who knows about it and what actually happens. And 2013 is actually the main key date here, because this was the birth of the CryptoLocker virus. This was the first virus that leveraged the Bitcoin technology. And this is quite a key date because this technology allowed criminals and people with the wrong hands a more secure way of getting access to your data and asking you to pay for it in a much more secretive way. And so since then, in the last 4 years or so, we've had worldwide epidemics. As some of you may have known, it was quite widely marketed, well not marketed, but distributed in terms of WannaCry and Petya. And these had a catastrophic effect. It infected over around 500,000 systems and had pretty major customers being affected by this outbreak. So how do you actually get ransomware? What can we do to potentially stop it? Well, its very design is to trick you. It's to trick you into clicking onto an email attachment that looks fairly innocuous, files and folders that, again, seemingly look pretty harmless. So its very design is to get you, your employees, business owners to go ahead and actually initiate the infection. And so that can be quite catastrophic. So what we need to do is educate ourselves and other people as to how we can be a bit more vigilant to identify and potentially stop ourselves, biggest cause of downtime in IT is human error. So to stop ourselves from actually causing this catastrophic event to your own business or someone else's business. But it's also designed to exploit vulnerabilities. And this is called the roadmap to mayhem in terms of the roadmap to the WannaCry outbreak. And it actually established a Microsoft vulnerability in the SMB file sharing protocol. And this was actually legitimately used by the NSA, the National Security Agency in America, to actually leverage that and hijack and spy on potential threats to the nation, to businesses and government. But it didn't take long for the wrong people to get their hands on it and exploit this and leak it online. And this became widely accessible to anyone that could be on the dark net, and therefore they were able to leverage that and exploit it. And it was actually a worm attack. So not only did it infect one system, but once it was initiated, it went through your network and infected many other systems on the network as well. So that was pretty bad. And quite really, it's very easy to get your hands on. Now, this is not a marketing kind of pitch to say, go and buy some ransomware. It's certainly not something that you should do. But this is how easy it is to get your hands on ransomware. You just go onto the dark web, Tor browser, for instance, and they're selling strains of ransomware, different strains of ransomware, which you can purchase with Bitcoin and start monetizing yourselves. And we've got actual businesses out there selling strains of ransomware and leveraging themselves, making lots and lots of money off your businesses. So with that, these are all the kind of the businesses that have been affected with ransomware. It's not really a strain. Has anyone actually been caught by ransomware before? Is that how you kind of knew what it was, or you just heard about someone who's caught it? Our customers? Yeah, absolutely. So now we get to do the actual live demonstration, and just to kind of show you a bit about the kind of Datto technology, because while it's important to have backup, backup keeps your data safe, and it means you can get your data back eventually in the case that your building burns down in a fire, or you lose your machine in liquid nitrogen, or a ransomware attack. But backup really only does that. It only keeps your data safe. But it's not going to stop the chaos and the confusion that happens afterwards, where you could potentially lose business, lose customers, if you can't run your business and keep it operational. And that's where business continuity comes in, because it prevents that downtime that's caused after the event. And with the Datto technology, how we can do that is, this is our high-level architecture. We have a Datto appliance, and I actually have a couple of things here. I have a Datto device and a server that I'm protecting, and we're going to be destroying that in just a moment. So the Datto device will protect the local infrastructure, back it up, store it locally on that device, but it will automatically test those backups as well, and it will replicate it off-site. Not only that, but both these locations, the Datto device and the Datto cloud, are fully recoverable environments. So we can take a backup image and virtualize that on the Datto or in the Datto cloud. So it provides you kind of two areas of redundancy and recovery in the event that you actually experience something like this, or in the event of a catastrophic failure, a site-wide disaster. So let's end the show there quite quickly, and if we can, we'll move over to my server. And this is the server that's currently sat down there at the moment, and it's just a standard Windows 2012 server, one of the most common operating systems out there at the moment. And can anyone tell me if they think ransomware is on this, just by looking at this particular homepage at the moment? Anything stick out at all? No. Okay. Well, first and foremost, what I'm going to do is show you some data change. And what we have here, I'm just going to create a simple text document and call it the business show. Now, would someone like to volunteer just a word of the day, preferably one that I can spell? You, sir, at the front row. You smiled, you laughed at the joke, so you're going to have to contribute here, I'm afraid. Just a quick word, favorite food, favorite drink, anything that you wish. Pineapple, okay. Pineapple. Now, I'm going to go ahead and save that document. Just double check that I saved that. Come out of that. There we have it. There's my file there. Now what I want to do is capture that. That's an important piece of information that I've created in my business. I'm going to need it later on. So I want to make sure that I'm capturing that data and taking a backup of that. Now this is the UI of the Datto appliance, and this is what's going to be on your local infrastructure, protecting your systems on a day-to-day basis. As you can see, you can set up configuration schedules to back up quite regularly. All I'm going to do here is kick off a manual backup of this crypto machine. And while it's doing that, I can kind of explain our backup technology, because although backup is just half of the solution, it's what allows us to provide business continuity. We've got a very unique way of taking backups and separating out the chain so that every individual backup that we take is completely independent from one another. And so it means there's no corruption throughout the chain, and it means that effectively I can have a bad backup once in a while within that chain, but it's not going to affect my ability to recover before or after that backup point. And I can go ahead and recover. So that's going to take a few moments, not too much longer. And while that's running, what we're going to do here is start initiating a ransomware attack. Just want to double check that it's taken. Excellent, perfect. So that's 2:17 p.m. That's my latest backup, hopefully with my critical information that I've got there. So can anyone just throw out a guess of what file is potentially a ransomware file strain? I'll give you a clue. It's this lovely Excel spreadsheet here. Purchasing and billing, fairly innocuous. You have to be pretty trained to understand what might be a ransomware file. And there's not really any clues here. So I'm Mark from finance. I need this spreadsheet. I need to access these files because it's got important things that I need to do to get my work done on a day-to-day basis, make sure that people are paying us on time, making sure that we're generating that revenue. But what I've actually done is I've just initiated a ransomware attack. And what it's going to do is going to go through my system and start encrypting all of my non-essential files. And the non-essential files are effectively everything that allows the operating system to run are absolutely fine. But all of your business data, the files and folders that you use on a day-to-day basis, they are now going to be encrypted. And in a moment, we're going to see a ransomware sign pop up saying, we've just got all your data, we've encrypted it with an AES 2048-bit encryption, which you'll see in a moment. And as you can see, some of these files have already started changing. The purchasing and billing tab hasn't just yet, but the ransomware attack has kind of gone through. And it'll take a little moment to kind of initiate. We'll get that pop-up file in just a moment. There we are, it's just popped up in the background. Let's minimize that again. Sorry, the internet's very slow here, so apologies for that. So there we have it, that's the ransomware sign. That's telling you what it's done, because it's at least being courteous enough to tell you that it's got your data. And does anyone know how long a 2048-bit encryption key would take to brute force a hack? 64 quadrillion years. So effectively, you're not getting your data back. It's safe, and unless you pay a Bitcoin ransom, which I don't know what the current exchange rate for Bitcoin is, but one is a few $1,000s. So if you've got that spare change lying around, you may be able to get your data back. However, if you do pay the ransom, you're not always guaranteed to get your data back either. So what do? We've got backups, and that's great, but we want our systems now. We want our data now. So first and foremost, just in case it's a WannaCry outbreak, we want to disconnect it from the network and stop it spreading and infecting other systems. So let's go ahead, open the network sharing, disable this port. And we're going to lose the connection to this server now in just a moment. Come through. But I don't think that's enough. I want to unplug it manually, and I want to destroy it, because I want to prove to you that we can get our data back in just a moment. So this is where I have my lovely assistant in the nice apron here. He's going to destroy with liquid nitrogen. Server is now off. There we are. Go ahead, destroy the server. Lovely. Is everyone fairly happy that this is pretty destroyed? We're not going to be able to get this server back up and running by itself. Yeah, pretty well done. Okay, excellent. Well, this is where the Datto will now come into play. We'll start virtualizing that backup that we took just a moment ago. So there we have my AGS crypto machine. What I'm going to do now is start off a local virtualization. I'm going to take the latest backup point that we took so I can get the latest version of data back. And I'm going to go ahead and start this restore. Before it does that, it's going to allow me to choose some virtualization options, provide some CPU and resources to the virtual machine so that we can continue working from it on this Datto appliance. So we've got many different form factors of Datto. We've got a mini desktop PC here where we scale all the way up to 110 terabytes, rack mount appliances with lots of gigs of RAM and CPU to handle your infrastructure. Now, I'm fairly happy with these resources here. I'm going to keep it disconnected just for the time being because we've got no active Ethernet port to provide it to. But I'm going to go off and kick that VM off. And this is going to take about 10 seconds or so. Because what we're going to do, we're going to take that backup image, clone it onto the KVM hypervisor that's on the Datto appliance, inject it with sort of the drivers that we need to virtualize it, and in a moment it's going to pop up as a virtual machine. And as you say, it took me about as long as it did to explain that for that screenshot to pop up. And there we have a VM running on our Datto. Once it goes through the boot process, I'll be able to show you by logging on and getting hopefully that text file back with the lovely Pineapple text document as well. So I'll take a couple of moments. There we have it. We are now able to log onto this server. Now this is where password memory comes into play. First time, perfect. Lovely. There we go. Now, business show, Pineapple. There we are, and that's a VM that's now running on the Datto appliance. So just to kind of recap what I've done there, I've created data change on a server, I've captured a backup of that server, I've infected it with ransomware, I've destroyed it completely with liquid nitrogen, and I've got the system back up and running, and it's taken all of about 10-15 minutes with a bit of explanation involved as well. That's the power of Datto. That's the power of business continuity, making sure that there's no crisis and costly downtime to your business in the event of a fire, a flood, liquid nitrogen attack, a ransomware attack, anything of that nature. And we can go ahead and work from this server and get your data back up and running. That's all really from me. We'll go back onto this slideshow quickly just to finish off. But I'm going to hand back to Philip in a moment just for the closing remarks. And there we are. On the slide. Excellent. Thanks very much, everyone.
I got him. Good. Look, you've seen a quick demonstration of recovering your data. I imagine most businesses today have copies of their data, standard backup. The takeaway message I want you to take from here is what would you do in the event you went back into the office this afternoon to find that you had lost your infrastructure. We're far from ransomware, from hardware failure. What would the impact be to the business? This is about business continuity, where you deal with the issues, your insurance company, your customers, whatever your other bits and pieces. We will look after the IT and get you back up and running within a matter of minutes. That's the takeaway I want you to have. Thank you very much.